All right. Let's do it live. Hey guys, welcome back to the post game show T Dubs, which is a show where we talk about things we watch, and we've been watching the World Cup, specifically following our home team here in the home nation of Manila. That would be the Philippine team, GILAS Pilipinas, and man, we just had to win one game, and we didn't win one game. If we had won one game, we would have tied with Japan and would have had a chance in classification rounds, classification games to qualify for the Olympics. The top seeded or the best performing Asian country automatically gets a spot in the Olympics. There are still other ways to get into the Olympics, I think, but nothing quite within our grasp as this one. So that is truly heartbreaking thing to have to come to terms with, that we had several games that were winnable and we didn't win them. Let's go quickly through the box score just to see what happened. The Philippines lose 83 to 90. A huge rally towards the end of the game. Where have I said that before? Where the Philippines cling on to hope, but unfortunately it shattered within the last minute of the game. Philippines outscore Italy in the first quarter 23 to 20, but then were blown out in the second quarter 16 to 28. Three start falling for them. They score 21. I think we score 21 to 25 in the third quarter, and we actually win the fourth quarter 23 to 17. So that's where that catch up came in. Points leaders, you have Clarkson and Fontecchio. So Clarkson for the Philippines scored 23, and Fontecchio is probably the way that's said. It's 18. He scored 18. Assists leaders, you have Clarkson again with 6 and Spisu with 9. Rebounds, AJ Edu. Yeah, out rebounding everyone in the game with 18, with 8 rebounds, not 18. And Melly. Actually, I think Melly is an NBA player from the Utah Jazz as well, with 6 rebounds. Philippines shooting 46.2%, and Italy shooting 45.3. So we actually shot better than them, but we gave up so many shot attempts with our turnovers, which we'll get to soon. Free throw percentage, they outshot us 88% to 72, and 3-point percentage, which was the story of this game, they shot 41.5% to our 34.5. So we shot about average 3-point, and they shot like the freaking Golden State Warriors. Probably coming from their 24 assists. So they had 24 assists to our 14 assists. As I've been saying in the show, passing really is the name of the game in the FIBA game. That ball was just flying around, and it was the same rotations every time. And that's one of the things I didn't understand. How come there's no adjustment to match all those rotations, those amazing hockey passes? Just drive, toss it to corner, hockey pass, shoot, or hockey pass, hockey pass, shoot. It was some amazing, like, passing Euro ball gameplay, Golden State Warriors style gameplay, and there was just no adjustment. Offensive rebounds, we actually won that battle, getting 13 offensive rebounds to their 10. That might have had something to do with their higher 3-point percentage, where there were maybe less rebounds to take. Total rebounds, we won that as well, 39 to 35. Steals, pretty much equal, 8 to 7. Blocks, 3 blocks from the Philippine team. No blocks by the Italians. The Italians actually had a number of goaltends. I think there were 2 or at least 2 goaltends, maybe 3. But the amazing block coming from Renz Abando, right? Who's this tiny dude, jumps up on the Italian center, making a go for the goal, and just slaps it back. I think that was the turnaround moment, the shot of energy of what do you call it, of adrenaline into the Philippine team, and that was really a really special moment. I think in terms of highlights of the entire tournament, I think it's going to be up there, despite the loss. Fouls pretty much equal 17 to 20. So if you want to complain about that, it's not something to complain about. Refereeing was pretty fair, I think so, except for one very questionable travel in the fourth quarter, which didn't get called, I should say, uncalled travel on the Italian side. Biggest lead by the Italians was 18. So to lose by 7 points is not bad in comparison to 18. There was a bit of fight coming back. Points on the bench about equal, 27 to 30. Points from turnovers, 19 to 22. Also about equal. But here you go. Second chance points, 10 to 21. So 21 points, an extra 11 points off of those offensive rebounds. So it wasn't that we weren't getting offensive rebounds, that we would get the offensive rebound and then something else would happen. We would turn it over. We would give it away. We would miss the next shot. And then they would get the rebound. Biggest scoring run was 10 on our side. And for them, it was only 8. So they would go on runs, and then we would score, and they would go on runs, and we would score again. And then we just had this 10-point run somewhere, I'm guessing, in the end of the game. Time leading, 5 minutes and 34 seconds for the Philippines. Other than that, the Italians dominated that game. Headed over to box score. Clarkson, of course, had 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. He shot from 3, 1 of 7. That was 1 of 7. And Kiefer Avena shooting 2 from 3 out of 3. Junmar Fajardo, no 3-point attempts, of course. Made 2 shots, 1 personal foul, total of 4 points. He played a really hustle game. There's a lot that doesn't show up on the score sheet for him. Also for Roger Pogoy, a lot that doesn't show up on the score sheet, despite the fact that he scored 9 points. Kai Soto was a little bit of a no-show in this game. 100% shooting, 1 of 1. And then Dwight Ramos coming in second in terms of scoring. He scored 2 of 8 from 3 points and 3 of 5 from the field. Free throws, 2 points. Assists on 3, 2 steals. Lots of hustle from Dwight, though. If you watch the game, you actually see a lot of fight in all of these players, both the Italian side and the Filipino side. The Italian side, they did not have a good 3-point shooting game throughout the tournament so far in their first 2 games. And, they were just basically the bases were loaded, right? The law of large numbers was going to come into play. And usually when you have teams that are hot shooting at the start, they cool off at some point, and the reverse happened for Italy, and it just kicked in during this game. They must have shot 18 3-point shots. It's not here on the main box score, but let's see. Game info. Nope, still not here. Here we go. 3 field goal 3-point attempts. Italy shot. What? That can't be right. 9.7 on 33 attempts. Anyway. All right, I can't find the stat. But they shot a lot. They shot a lot of 3-pointers. That entire third quarter, second to third, halfway through the fourth, it was just them nailing 3-point shots off of assists. Hockey pass, hockey pass, hockey pass, assist. And that's very much the identity of the Italian team. And trusting in it really worked out for them in this game. And they interviewed me. We watched in Jordan, Manila. Dave and I, our head barista here. We went together to Jordan, Manila to watch again. It was great. There was a good crowd there, maybe about 50, 60 people in attendance. And it was lots of fun, despite the fact that everyone's kind of bummed out for 31 minutes of this game. During that run in the end, it was nice to feel that surge of energy through the crowd. I'm hoping very much they could feel it in the Araneta Coliseum, because the looks on people's faces was pretty bleak. Coach would just crouch over, bend over by the bench and have a bummed out look on his face. And when you listen to timeouts, there was never any sense of order. It was always like, you do this, and then JC is going to come down here, blah, blah, blah. And he'd start speaking in Tagalog. I don't know if Jordan Clarkson speaks Tagalog. I don't know if AJ Edu speaks Tagalog. Kind of nuts. And if you're talking about like what the main problem with this team was, again, Italy, there's an identity. They pass the ball. They shoot mid-range and threes. They're not very good around the rim. We do not have an identity. And it's okay sometimes to have no offensive identity if you have a clear defensive identity. And it's good also if you have a clear clear offensive identity and no defensive identity, right? Like you see teams like Italy that don't have a clear defensive identity but have a very clear offensive identity, and they have something to fall back on, a structure to fall back on. No rotations built into the Philippine structure. Nothing to lean back on, nothing to default into when things are not going well. And that's really unfortunate. That's clearly what lost us this game, and why hopefully we don't end this World Cup without any wins. We still, I believe, have a classification game to play. It's somewhat inconsequential. In the grand scheme of things, we can't really qualify for anything. We can't continue in this tournament. The big goal today really was just to win. Win by anything, win by 1 point. If we won by 1 point, then we would have qualified, or we would have been tied with Japan to qualify for the for the Olympics. No, actually, I think Japan got routed today, as I predicted. Japan went on to lose by, where is it? Games. Japan versus Australia. They lost to Australia by 30 points. So their I believe plus 16, was it? Lead that they had over us was wiped out in that single game. And that meant that the Philippines, all they had to do was win by 1 point. Wow. Mike Enriquez passed away. R.I.P. Mike. That's sad. What a sad day. I wonder if that's... All right, so the Philippines versus... Who posted that? I think it was on Rappler. Let's open up Rappler. And where is it? Here we go. Philippines, -8 to -16. So it was 8 points. That was the difference between Japan and the Philippines at the start of today. And Japan losing by so many points plunged their plus-minus all the way down. And so the plus-minus is just a tiebreaker. But because they have a win, they're automatically on top. If we had tied with them with 2 losses and 1 win, and they would have also had 2 losses and 1 win, this big loss to Australia would be the second loss. Because the loss was by so much, we would have been on top. And we would have qualified for the Olympics. All we had to do was win a game. It could have been this game. This was the least likely game, I think, for us to win. I think the Angola game was totally winnable. We just, I don't know. I don't really know what happened. There was no order in that game. And then the game against the Dominican Republic, I think we also had a really good shot at winning that one. Karl Anthony Towns was a powerhouse, but we just let it slip out of our hands. And that's the thing, is that when there is no structure, or if you have a structure, if you have an offensive style that you're playing, at some point that is going to fall apart. And when it does fall apart, if you have nothing to fall back on, be it a team structure, an identity, or a star player that's really clutch, that's proven himself in these moments to be clutch, someone like a Rondae, Hollis, Jefferson, or a Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. It's not fair to put these guys on that level, but they do exist, right? Luka Doncic was just some kid in Slovenia at some point, and unless you have something like that to fall back on, it becomes very difficult to win games. Very difficult to win basketball games. We do have one more, I believe, classification game. We'll watch to support the team. It's not like we made the Olympics last year, guys. It's not like we made it the Olympics the last, what, 5 times. So I'm not too bummed out about that. The thing I am upset about is that this is probably our best and strongest team ever. Like you have Kiefer Avena as like a sixth to eighth man, sometimes like 11th man, right? Like that dude is a star. He's a superstar. You go to Japan, everyone knows his name. Um, and then you see these guys who he plays with in the Japan B League, who he regularly kicks their ass. Walk away number one in Asia, qualify for the Olympics in a way that we really should have been able to. If we were organized, if we had some really good coaching, which unfortunately we didn't have. And I think that this is clearly the story of this World Cup is the Philippines just not having an identity when it comes to basketball. Oh, all right. I'm pretty bummed out about it. I did give up the chance to watch Montenegro versus what is it, Lithuania live to see what is it, Vucevic and Valanciunas go head to head. That would have been cool. I'm gonna watch the replay now or a bit later today. But in general, a big bummer to have to end our campaign to succeed, right? To move forward, to progress in the World Cup in this way. Um, yeah. Again, I was interviewed at Jordan Manila about what I thought, and I'm really proud of our guys. I really support the team. As I said, I think that this is our best team in ever that I've ever seen. Playing this kind of basketball. And I don't want to hear that argument anymore that basketball is, we shouldn't fund it because it's a game for big guys and big people. That's not true at all. Like, what do you call Steph Curry, right? What do you call Muggsy Bogues? Like, there are guys, gosh, what do you call Abando, right? There are guys who can fight with the big boys. It is possible to have powerful, small teams, right? To have undersized bigs. The U.S. is playing with an undersized big and being very successful. In fact, their most successful lineup is with an undersized big. Guys who are their height, their speed, right? But when you're doing that, you see the teams that are successful, they always have identities of incredible shooting or lots of passing or very fast transition defense. Because if you're small, you're fast. You can really sprint. And we don't have those things. We can work on those things. We don't have them in this team, or there's no focus on bringing that out of these guys in this team. And that's the big bummer. And I do want to say, you know what? One, I hate this argument that we shouldn't fund basketball because we're supposedly not good at it, that we're supposedly not built for it. But I will tell you this, we love it. And if you want to ask me what the X factor is in any game, you can give me a guy who's 7 out of 10 in talent versus a guy who's 9 out of 10 in talent. But if the dude who's 7 wants it more and has the heart, I want that guy. I'm putting my money on that guy. And that is the description of the general identity of Philippine basketball. It really is. I do not give a flying F. I love basketball. I'm going to win. I'm going to try to win against all odds. Fortunately, it doesn't always work, but that doesn't mean that people who love playing basketball and people who love watching basketball don't deserve to have their passions funded. Because the truth is, there are lots of them, there are lots of us, and here's to the future of Philippine basketball. Huh. What do I think moving forward? I think women, really. If we can build out our women's programs, look at how Sabrina Ionescu, right? She's undersized, but she shoots like crazy, right? You look at how these WNBA players are so successful. You look at how our 3x3 players are successful in the world scale, right? Our women's teams uh, are not incredible, are not what do you call this, exceptional in when they're playing versus men, but playing in other women's leagues, 3x3, hopefully eventually 5x5, 5-on-5 women's tournaments in the Philippines. We can start to see a lot of progress there as well. Um, I think at some point we have to see it as a grassroots movement, right? So we talk about this about all sports, whether it's obstacle course relay or soccer or tennis. You know, you can have stars, but just because you have stars, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where, or that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the thing that we should put our money into, right? Racer B is doing really well. Congratulations to her, right? Logan Love is doing really well. Congratulations to her. Does that mean that we should pull all of our money from a sport that everyone already loves and put them into racing or hip hop or tennis? I don't know. A tennis court's pretty big. I tried to build a tennis court before, and it turns out it's about the size of a basketball court, and only 2 to 4 people play. So a basketball court, you can have like 15 people playing at the same time. So there's that. All right. Those are my thoughts. I do love basketball. I do love the Philippines. I wish the best for all of those guys, and I want to thank each one of them for the hard work that they put in to play for their country, right? Like, no matter what. I think all of these guys faced adversity in their journey here, from Clarkson all the way down to man number 10 or is it 12. So before we wrap up, I do want to say a quick thank you to each of them. AJ Edu, Scotty Thompson, thank you. Jordan Clarkson, Kiefer Ravenna, thank you. June Mar Fajardo, thank you. Roger Pogoy, thank you. CJ Perez, Japeth Aguilar, Kai Soto, thank you guys. Ren Zabando, my hero, Dwight Ramos, and JJ Malonzo. Thank you, all you guys. In the years that I have been watching Philippine basketball, you guys are the best GILAS team I've ever seen. Ever. And that's no shade to Gabe, no shade to the other guys on all those other teams, no shade to 2014. That was a magical team. This is a better team. And with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. We will continue to watch the FIBA World Cup. We probably won't do this rapid succession of videos. Who knows? We might. We'll shoot whenever we feel like it. But we'll feel a little less pressure to cover the games now that GILAS is done. We'll talk about more things of note. And as for the Philippine team, I guess we'll see you when we see you. Hopefully, there'll be another opportunity to qualify for the Olympics. That's quite unlikely that will work out. But, it is what it is. All right. So not the Philippines is not progressing in the World Cup. Who's your team? Who are you going to follow? Who are you going to support? I want to know. Let me know in the comment section down below or send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at Kayo Cosio on Instagram. I wish you guys good luck, good health. Go GILAS. Go Philippines. Peace.